Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Purple Nuna Podcast. I'm Stephanie Conti, and I am here with the childs to my McCready, Savanna Lanausse.
Hi, welcome back.
It feels like forever, and it's only because we missed one recording day. That's it, but it feels like months since we've last recorded. At least to me,
It feels like a long
months.
time that we've been on here.
So, apologies. I had a teacher tell me who was like, oh yeah, by the way, this was like on Friday. He was like, you have an exam Monday. And then Sunday, I'm like, dude, do we seriously have an exam? He's like, no, I messed up. I'm like, thanks. So I had canceled the recording and everything to study for, one of my first physics exams. So thanks, Mr. Huang. Thanks a lot. But how are you doing, Savanna?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was telling Savanna before, I've gotten into this new lifestyle where I'm just taking a deep slumber in the afternoon and I don't want to wake up.
Yeah,
it's also because I probably go to bed late. I go to bed late. late. I'm like, oh, I'm going to bed on time. And I'll look at the clock and it's like 2 a.m. And I'm like, nice. And then I try to be productive and I try to wake up at 7 a.m. Never works.
That is crazy. But also, it's Stephanie's birthday. Happy birthday, 22.
What was up with the tongue? What was up with the turkey?
I wanted a sound effect.
Yes, so my birthday was June 11th, so we were going to record this only a few days. Now it's like a lot of days after, but that's okay. So it's my belated birthday. So even during quarantine for my birthday, which this is an accomplishment, I had my boyfriend and Savanna over. We socially distanced and we went in like my backyard screen area. I set up a TV and we watched Danger 5 Season 2. And let me tell you, if you haven't watched Season 1 or Season 2, you're missing out. Go get it. You can get it on Blu-ray on Amazon. Highly recommend it. My favorite TV show of all time. Like, I say, and Savanna might heavily disagree with me, just as good as Twin Peaks.
Oh, wait. They're so different. How are you going to compare Twin Peaks?
But, they're the same level of greatness, just different IQ zones.
David Lynch is crying somewhere from that.
But Danger 5 is so good. I highly recommend it. And one of the best gifts that I got. So Savanna actually brought, because originally before things got worse, in terms of the virus and everything, we were going to have originally a full Danger 5 themed party. And that ended up happening. But Savanna she had bought a little, a fondant, printed fondant with Danger 5 on it. And so we just slammed it to the side of an ice cream cake. And that was it. And so I sent the picture to Danger 5 themselves, and they wished me a happy birthday, as well as one of the actors personally wished me a happy birthday. So that was a huge milestone in my life.
Best $10 I've spent.
But it was very good. It was very good. I just hope none of them gets the courage and is like, hey, who did you eat? Because all of their faces and everything are on the side. And obviously when you have things like that, you pick and choose oh, I want this character. I want this character. I hope they don't ask me, because I actually ended up eating 3 different characters. So that's tough.
It was a good time. I like the show. I think it's really funny. It's different though. It's different.
And we literally went through the entire season 2. And it was no problem, because it is so extreme, it is so random that it keeps you on your toes. It's not like there's going to be any slow bits or anything like that. It really just, when you think oh, I've seen it all, no. You go from dinosaurs with spaghetti coming out of them to then an Italian Jesus Christ, which it's just a fantastic show and I can't recommend it enough. But we're not talking about that show today. We're going to be talking about a big, big, big movie in my life. The Thing, 1982, John Carpenter. At first, I'm like, what the hell is she doing? And I realize you're doing the beat. The blue, doom.
Yeah.
Doom, doom. That's what me and my cousin Sabrina, whenever we used to watch this movie, because trust me, I've made so many people watch this movie way too many times, we would like tap each other to the beat of the intro, like dun, dun. Like we would always tap each other's like thighs and just to the beat of this movie. But before we get into the movie and the review, this movie holds a special place in my heart. I consider it one of my favorite movies of all time. Because after watching the movie, it was the first time after I watched a movie, and I'm 22 now. So when I watched this, I was like 11. Yes, 11. While watching this, no, I was 13. My bad, 13. I was 13 while watching this, and I remember just from start to the end, my jaw was dropped, and as soon as like the credits rolled up, I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to make movies. I want to do that. I want to do that. Because I always had like this weird, I feel like a lot of kids like who are like, I want to be an actor or an actress. Like I would always say that I wanted to be an actor or actress, but I never realized that I wasn't focusing so much on like acting. I was focusing on like world building and movies I would make and things like I would write. So then this movie, it was like, no, you're not meant to be on screen. You're meant to do all the writing and directing and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you're right. And so after watching this movie, and like, this is one of those movies where I watch and there's not a single thing I would change about it. And I think that's also what made me realize that I wanted to go into this field. It was like, oh my God, this movie's perfect. This movie was handcrafted by God. Like there's nothing else I would change or redo or do anything about the movie.
Right.
So this movie did have a huge impact on my life. I take pride in knowing that like there was the Thing trivia game app that I paid $1 for in probably 2014, and hopefully I'm still there as like the number 4 like questionnaire and stuff, where I did get like 100% on the quiz, but I just didn't answer as fast as everyone else.
Wow.
So very, very proud. And even one of the gifts that I got from you for my birthday this year, Savanna, was a awesome beanie that actually has Outpost 31 on it. So thank you for that. Thank you. Adds to my collection. And so yeah, so this movie really means a lot to me, and I'm so excited to be talking about it today. So without further ado, let me give you the little details and we'll get into the movie review. So it's The Thing. It's a 2-hour movie, came out in 1982, and the IMDb plot synopsis is: a research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. It is directed by John Carpenter. It is based off the book Who Goes There by John W. Campbell, and it stars Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, T.K. Carter, David Clennon, Keith David, Richard Dysart, Charles Hallahan, Peter Maloney, Richard Mazer, Donald Moffat, Joe Polis, Thomas G. Waits, and one of the Norwegians is Norbert Vesser. So Savanna, you know I'm a super fan of this movie, but as someone who has a normal brain, what did you think of the movie?
So I don't know if you remember, the first time I saw it was with you.
Yes, that's usually how the conversation goes. Usually I have the blessing to induct people into watching this movie. So, I mean, you watched it then. I mean, I do remember you liking it. Yes. I do remember you liking it. But now watching it alone, in your own time, place, and everything, what do you think about the movie?
It's I don't think people realize when they watch it, it's a very scary concept. And that's why I think it's one of the scariest movies, actually, but just not in terms of what we're used to now. Because I don't think there's anything scarier than, like, imitation. You know? Yeah. Like, you think you're safe, but you're not. So I think this movie is great. It's actually deemed probably, like, I saw on a bunch of, like, if you go on websites, videos, that it's, I think people consider it the best remake ever made, if not one of them.
Yeah, because there was The Thing from Another World was the OG one, and it was more like, it was similar, but it definitely didn't have like a more deeper and rooted horror element than this version.
Yeah, so I think it's a great movie. One of the things I think is unique to it, and I like it so much, it's very immersive.
Yes.
Very quickly, the movie has this thing where like it immerses you into the story and what's going on almost instantly, I'd say. So the movie is great. Hopefully everybody that's listening has seen it. Because how old is the movie now? Almost 40 years old?
Yeah, it came out in 82. So it actually had 2012 was, I'm in physics, but I don't do math when I don't need to.
30. It's 30 years.
Yeah, so yeah, it had I remember because when I first started liking it, it was around like the 30th or 35th anniversary, something like that. And yeah, and it was also like around the same time the prequel to it came out. So that's around the time I got into it. What? You don't know about the prequel?
No.
What? It literally has the same name, The Thing, and it stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Is it the newer one?
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. I didn't know it was a prequel.
Yeah, it's a prequel. It takes place, it shows everything what happens on the Norwegian camp.
Interesting. Is it good?
Yeah. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as the original, but story-wise, I do appreciate how well they try to stick and how well they try to match everything with what was already lined up in The Thing. So, oh my God, my dog has a loud mouth on him. Jesus, I hear him in the living room.
Hamilton.
This little Hamilton, little choochie boy. I've been calling him Yonky recently because
like
he's been getting a little chunky, so I call him like Chuchi de Yonky. But anyways, but yeah, so the newer one, 2011, The Thing, it came out and it's the prequel. It takes place, so it shows everything with the Norwegian camp. And although I still think it's a pretty good horror film, it's nowhere near as good as The Thing, but in terms of what The Thing had lined up for what happened, for what we didn't know what happened at the Norwegian camp, it does make sense. It does coincide.
Okay, fair.
And actually, that was the first ever R-rated movie I was ever taken to go see because my parents knew I was like so obsessed with it. And I remember like my parents were like, we're going out to dinner, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And so we were driving and stuff. And we were driving to like Disney, like the Disney at the time. It wasn't Disney Springs. What was it? What was Disney Springs before it was Disney Springs?
Downtown Disney.
Downtown Disney. So we were going to downtown Disney, and I'm like, oh, cool, we're going to eat, wherever. And then my mom was like, Stephanie, do you know what we're here for? I'm like, we're going to eat. And she's like, yes. But do you know what else we're going to do? And then I realized that there was a movie theater. I'm like, are we going to watch The Thing? And she was like, yes, but please do not tell anyone that I'm taking you to go see an R-rated movie. I was like, thank you. Like, I was crying. And I still, like, on my little, I have a little cork board right next to me. I have the movie ticket still. And it's pierced onto the little cork board. Aww. So yeah, so that was good. But in terms of let's discuss characters first, because there's I totally agree. There's a lot of great world building, and I think that's very attributed to all the different characters that we have. Was there any particular characters that stood out to you? Did you have any personal favorites?
I liked Clark.
You liked Clark?
Yeah.
The dog dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Why'd you like Clark?
I don't know. It just seemed like he was a good guy.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm a Kurt Russell connoisseur at best, so I love McCready.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely love him.
I feel like I can't remember his name. Maybe it is Clark. Maybe I'm thinking about the same person, but the one that was pretty much warning everybody in the beginning that something wasn't right.
Oh, do you mean the old man?
No, he was younger and he was like with the radios and he was just like, guys, like sums up, something up. And
Windows.
Nobody trusted him until the blood test.
Yeah, like he was the one who was in he was the one who looks like Hyde from That 70s Show.
Well, yeah, and I also know him from The Warriors. I was like,
Ah,
oh,
gotcha.
I know that one. So I liked him. There was another character I did like too. Who am I thinking of? The one, Childs?
Yeah, Childs is Keith David.
Yeah.
So yeah, Childs. Childs was good too. I really liked McCready, and my second favorite was Knowles, the guy who played Superstition and like while he was cooking and stuff like that in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Plus, I like the nod of the music Superstition. But we also got to give like a round of applause for the dog actors in this film.
Oh my god, the husky deserved an Oscar.
That's exactly what my mom had said too. She was like, that dog deserves an Oscar. But like Marley and Me, goodbye. What Racing in the Rain, whatever that doo-doo was, goodbye. This film has by far the best dog acting, animal acting ever in it. Like especially the one husky, the one that is infected, and the way he's looking and stuff like that, when and his movements and everything, like wow, pristine.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But so in terms of, so I want to ask you this question because me and my mom had a debate. And that woman likes to push my buttons, let me tell you. Because here I am, like, proud of myself of being, like, the expert of the Thing. And, like, keep in mind, like, I have the Thing comics. I played the Thing video game. Like, I'm obsessed with the Thing.
She found a game board.
Yes, I have the game board. I have everything. I have the OG script. I have the OG script so OG when it had a female as a co-star.
Wow.
Yeah, but she had to drop out because she found out she was pregnant. So then they just switched it to all men. But so this woman, my mother, wants to go head to head, and she's like, I think I know the order of how who gets infected. She's saying stuff, and I'm like, I don't veg with it. Who do you think, like in terms of the order who got infected, who do you think that was? Like, how did you think that progressed?
Ooh. That's a hard one. Well, remind me, who was the first person to die?
The first person to die was Bennings. He's the one with the weird hands, and he's just like, oh, like screaming in the snow. But there's one part where the dog goes into a room, and we don't see the shadow of that person. Like, right. we see the shadow of a person, but we can't really tell who it is.
So it's got to be that person.
So so I was saying that, and my mom, like, literally as Bennings is dying, she's like, Bennings is the one who gets it first. And I'm like, no, look what's going on. He's about to die. But for me, I read the fact that it was, so at first I thought it was, not Clark. Oh, what's his name? I thought it was Norris. The guy whose chest opens up. Halfway through, or and his head falls off and turns into that little weird thing. I thought it was him at first. I thought it was his shadow, but I had read that actually it was none of the shadows of the actors. It was actually the shadow of a stuntman because they wanted to leave it ambiguous. However, the producer said that the first person to be infected was actually Palmer. The guy who's like, like the Aztecs and the Incas and like aliens,
I wouldn't have guessed that. It's interesting.
I wouldn't have guessed that either. I really thought it was Norris because he had like the heart issues and stuff like that. And I think, at least I thought he might have had it like at some point, like, because I know you see him in the end, like holding his chest and stuff like that before, it happens. But I think that the way it's all done, the way that it infects people, how it spreads, even one of the characters I really like was Cooper. Yeah, where Cooper is when he's looking at the assimilation and how it worked, and he kind of realizes like what's going on. Ooh, sorry, I had some espresso and upper.
It's okay.
But like he kind of realizes what everything is going on, and then just loses his mind. Realizes like none of these dummies are gonna understand it. We're all screwed, and then just starts going. It just starts going crazy. I thought his little transformation, everything that he had going on was great because it added in a whole new tension. Not only were they like facing aliens, but they were facing each other, like no matter what happened. It wasn't just human versus alien, it was human versus alien. So I really like his thing. So you and me were talking about a little bit before, like, because you had saw a tweet.
I did.
About the movie. Do you want to explain what that tweet said? And, because I do want to talk about it.
Of course. So I don't know who wrote the tweet. I didn't remember. I would give him credit, but this is not for me. So somebody tweeted out and it landed on my timeline. The Thing is currently, this is what they said, paraphrasing. The movie The Thing is what we're all living now. And this is why it's the scariest movie ever. And then I was reading, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. And I was looking at the thread and someone was just like, well, why? He goes, well, we are living in a time where we don't know who's infected. And the only way to tell is by doing a test. Mm-hmm. And when I say everybody in the comments after that tweet was made was just like the mind-blowing emoji. And someone was just like, we all got to kill ourselves. That's the only way. But I mean, it's true. This is a little...
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It really is. And that's one of the reasons why I do think it's one of the most terrifying. And I've said too, like the structure of this film is one of those structures, like, and I've mentioned it in 12 Angry Men, where you have people trapped in a room or in a place with nowhere to go and all pointing fingers at each other. That is, in my opinion, the best of the best of the best genre, subgenre, if you will. Where you can take that, put it in a dramatic setting, put it in a romance, you put it in a comedy, whatever it may be, and it just works. Well, you got to have good characters, but it works. So, like for a movie like this, so it could easily be similarly, very similarly, can be compared to 12 Angry Men, where you have men trapped in a room, all pointing fingers at each other. And even more so, what a lot of people don't realize is, would you believe that The Hateful Eight is actually Tarantino's version of The Thing?
I think you told me that.
So it's things like that you don't realize. It's like, oh, but it makes for such a great plot and subgenre to just use and exploit. And hell, I've exploited it too. I made a podcast called an audio drama called The Gathering, where I stuck, in this story, teens trapped in a room, and one of them is trying to kill one another, or one of them is trying to kill all of them. And it just makes for this insanely fun, almost like this playground for you to just play around with characters, play around with paranoia. Because in a setting like that, especially when you have paranoia involved, anything is fair game. You can have a character just start running around naked. And why? It's okay, because everyone's going crazy. It's very hard to judge people when they're going crazy in that event. When you yourself will say, I don't know how I would react in that way. So this is that is my all-time favorite genre. And I do think in terms of all the movie comparisons that I made, this one definitely takes the cake, because of all the characters and the world building and everything done, just to make this more realistic. And like I said, I love John Carpenter. I love me a Kurt Russell, John Carpenter film. So before my The Thing days, and I mentioned this in the first episode of this podcast, I used to take a portable DVD player, and I used to live in St. Kitts for a little bit with my family. So I used to crawl into a little cardboard box with a blanket and my portable DVD player, and I would just watch Big Trouble in Little China. And I just watched that over and over, and I became obsessed with it. I knew who Kurt Russell was by the time I was 6. I was like, oh, Kurt Russell! And I was obsessed with him. And it's funny how, to me, 10 plus years later, it came in full circle again. And here I am once again praising Kurt Russell and John Carpenter at the time in my teenage years, but now even in my adult years, because I still claim this movie as one of, honestly, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I do think it is one of the best movies made. It's not the best. I will say it's not the best, but I still do think it is one of the best movies made of all time.
It's a really well done movie. I agree. I think they do nail the concept of people in a room just accusing each other.
Mm-hmm.
In that genre, they're the best. You know?
Yeah, it really is the best. And also, it's funny because I was shocked to find out I love the score. I love the score of this film.
Right.
And I was very just surprised to find out that the composer, Ennio Morricone, he actually won like a Razzie, which, you know, it was like worst soundtrack ever award.
Oh, God.
And yeah, but I think it's such a fantastic, infamous soundtrack. Definitely very different. I mean, you're going from, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly to then him doing this doing the thing. And I love this soundtrack. I love it so much. And recently, and I got this as a birthday present, John Carpenter actually revisited the Thing soundtrack and did his versions, because he's a composer as well. He redid like 4 songs off of the original album in like this very even more 80s-esque synth, you know, very, very cool. So if anyone, and it's not available to download, but if anyone is a vinyl collector, I highly recommend it, because it's almost like The Thing meets Clockwork Orange. So it's really cool. So Savanna, why don't you tell me, so after, with the way all the scenes took place and everything, do you have a particular favorite moment of this movie?
I have 3.
Ooh, tell me.
So, I think one of the best scenes in the movie is when it's all, before everything kind of hits the fan and they sort of figure out, I'm like, oh, okay, like this is imitating something. I think it was after the thing with the dog, the scene with the dog. And, you know, they're all in the snow and they're all just talking about it. And then one of them says, how do we know who's human? And they all kind of stare at each other with this realization of like, oh, we don't. Like, this is really bad. So I thought that was a great scene. Obviously the scene with the stomach and the chest and the head, I thought was iconic. Awesome, because for an 80s movies, the special effects and the animatronics were really well done.
Yeah, so it's majority of it is puppetry. So everything that you see and stuff, like the head and stuff, that's all puppetry. Even when the guy is, I read about this, when the guy is Windows, when he is leaning against the wall and you kind of see him slowly start turning, and MacReady lights him on fire. When you see his legs and everything moving, there's actually people behind this burning wall, you know, moving his legs and stuff like that, moving like it's all puppetry, which I think is also needs to be done more today in horror films, because it works.
It does.
Because when you add like this tangible, it's the same reason why Jurassic Park still works to this day. And it's the same reason why other of these horror films and stuff like that you could touch, that it was tangible to the actors on screen, that needs to come back. Like, because even
CGI though, ain't cutting it. It's not.
CGI is cool and all and like whatever, but like things like The Thing, Jurassic Park, real life animatronics, puppetry, all that stuff gives a whole other experience than using CGI.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We need to bring that back.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I feel bad because in the 2011 The Thing, they actually tried doing that, but when it was layered over with CGI, because they did do majority puppetry, it was layered over with CGI and it took away. You could no longer tell that it was puppetry anymore.
Right.
So I think that I just really want to see more of that, because I do think, even though like CGI is still expensive, people act like, oh, well, just CGI. CGI is still very expensive. Very, very expensive. I just feel like it's also the
lazy way out. Everybody's doing it, so everyone's kind of like, okay, well, I guess we'll jump on it and not make things anymore. I don't know.
It's crazy.
I get like some things you have to. I understand.
Like backgrounds, I can understand being CGI, you know, doing things like that. But in terms of like monsters, or in terms of like creatures, animals, things like that, I think that all should be done via puppetry to some degree. But okay, so you had that favorite. So what were the other two favorites?
So the last one I had was the blood testing. The intensity, the anxiety. So good. So scary.
And the fact that like, so Palmer, when he's the one who they discover is it, and like the thing, you know, the blood reacts and it shrieks and it comes out, and then his side of the chair just starts shaking violently is so good. And even some of it, obviously there's still scenes today that you can look at and be like, it's cheesy, but it'll go like, it's cheesy to, whoa, what the hell was that? Like it's very good. It's not like the other like cheesy style 80s scenes like and stuff like that. Like still like a lot of the special effects that you see, especially in that scene, hold up to today's standard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think that it's so well done, and we need more anxiety inducing movies like that, because I think that's what's truly scary. Those intense, like, well, who is it? Who is it not? We don't really see that a lot in horror anymore. We see a lot of what is it? What do you think right now? Supernatural stuff is sort of in fashion.
Yeah, like we have like those paranormal activities, and we have like, I think the biggest thing, like I feel like we're going to get back into the type of horror, like the classic horror. Like I'm talking about your Freddy Krueger, I'm talking about your Jason Voorhees, things like that. Because we have like the newer movie, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'm hoping that, you know, even though, because it's nothing newer, but I'm hoping that it has more of a retro movie take on it, and in comparison to other modern day horror films. So I'm hoping something like that will launch again, like a whole series, because we don't have any like slasher killers anymore. We don't have any of those, and if we do, it's just continuing. Like we have, once again, more Halloween movies. We're going to have Scream again. So I just hope we're able to launch a whole new almost like a revamp of that 80s style horror, because I do think in terms of like horror, the genre really did peak in the 80s without a doubt.
Yeah, I can agree. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
what about you? What are your favorite?
Ooh, any minute Kurt Russell is on the screen. First of all, can we talk about the hat? Can we talk about the hat and how much I hated his hat at first, but now I'm into it.
It works.
Now as I get older, that hat ages like fine wine. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm digging it. I'm really digging it with the weird side folds, you know, on it, the really high side folds too. I don't even know what kind of hat that is, like a Ranger's hat or what, but I'm feeling it again. I'm really, really feeling it. In terms of like my favorite scene, my favorite is when, after Kurt, Knowles, and another character, when they go into his cabin and they realize that someone left the light on, and Knoll comes back and he's like, I cut him loose. And there's this moment where they're like, everyone's just like, because he's like, oh, I think he's infected because I found his clothes and everything like that. And from an audience perspective, the audience isn't going to go, not everyone in the audience is going to go, nah, no way is Kurt Russell contaminated. Like, right. No one's going that. You don't know. So everyone's just kind of like, what? Maybe? How? Like, what if? And so I love moments like that. And especially when he comes back in and he's holding the dynamite and he's like threatening them. And he's like, yeah, I dare you. Come closer. He's like, I'm a real light sleeper. I just loved how then you can start seeing how the paranoia and everything, you know, that had been brewing was really at like a full level 10 during that moment. I also, of course, I love the couch scene, and especially when Donald Moffat, after everything is said and done, and they realize he's clean, and he's like, "I'd rather not spend the winter tied to here." Like, he says an explicit that I'm not going to say, but I thought that scene was great. I think overall, even that I just love the movie Savanna. I really also like the claymation scene. Yeah, like the claymation scene in the end was done very well. I love this film, and I can just keep praising it. But with that, Savanna, is there any downfalls to the movie that you can think of?
I think there are points, very few and far, but there are points where it is a little slow. Maybe in the beginning, I could kind of like see somebody being like, "Oh, okay, like they found this or that." Some of the acting I think was a little overdone. Kurt Russell is great. He plays a great hero, so not from him, but just from some of the other actors, some of the minor ones. Other than that, I don't see any like big issues. Like I wouldn't nitpick it too much.
That's fair. I mean, there are some, like I said, there are some still like cheesy moments that we could see, and like say, like when Palmer eats windows and his body's up in the air, and you have that little fake body just flying around. You know, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but that's great. That's classic 80s.
It's still great. It's still great. Yeah. Or one of my favorites is when Copper, after he's like, oh, let's not forget, one of the best acting scenes is when Copper is going crazy in like the radio room.
Oh, yeah.
And he's shooting the gun. He's like, I'll kill you. Like, that's the best. That's the best part. That's one of the best. Just that voice, the shift in the tone, I'll kill you. And then he shoots and he fires and then he's out of bullets and he throws his gun. It's so good. But one of the best parts of that scene too is when everyone starts beating him up and stuff, but then Kurt Russell comes in with that right hook, and you just hear the most cliche sound effect, like as he's just beating him, and it's so great. It's so great. So there are those little things that I really appreciate that are, you know, obviously little errors here and there, little, not even errors, just really like little smudges.
You know? Yeah.
But I still think it's a fantastic film overall. How do you feel about the ending? Because I know a lot of people who hate that style of ending. I love that style of ending.
I don't mind it. I know people who hate that too, that don't like, there's a lot of people that when they go see movies, they don't like feeling unresolved. They don't like, they don't like a, how do I say this? Not wrapped up story.
Yeah, nothing they don't want us, they don't like it when it like, leave it to your own interpretation.
I like that. I understand some movies don't do it as well as others, and there are times where you can be like, what was that? Mm-hmm. But with the thing, I thought it was perfect. What other ending did people want from that? Because it's epic. Like, he blew up the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
So, me being the Thing fan I am, I have the comic books, the OG comic books. And in the comic books, it's revealed that Childs was, in the end, actually infected. Ooh. And McCready is able to get away. But by the time, because he's infected and he's able to get away. And then in the, following either the next morning, whatever it may be, just next day, people saw the fire, went out, tried to save him. But somehow, some of the people start getting infected, things like that. It was. I read it probably 7 years ago, but I just remembered it being oh, Childs was infected. I don't know if it was canon by John Carpenter or what.
Yeah, because I have questions about that, because didn't he pass the blood test?
No, it was. So they were. The theory was that while Kurt Russell, while McCready, Knowles, Donald Maffitt's character were in the basement with the weird, with the human, with the Blair monster.
Yeah.
When they were with that, and because Childs was left on his own. Childs was just guarding, and so they had said to Childs, hey, if Blair comes here, just kill him. So, and also remember, I think there were still some dogs or something like that available, things like that. So I don't know how they explained it, but it was supposed to be during that time period was when he got infected, when he was alone on his own.
Okay. I think that's a cool, after story, but I don't think I like how the movie ended, and I wouldn't want them to have done anything else with it. Because I do think it's a comprehensive ending. I do think it's kind of okay, it's all gone. We're just gonna stay here. Everything's blown up. I liked it.
If anyone's curious about the comics, it's actually called The Thing from Another World. But which I don't know. It's like, why are you going to make things confusing? Now people are going to think that it relates to the old 50s movies. So no, it's called The Thing from Another World, and it starts with McCready and Childs. And it's a Dark Horse comic that came out 10 years after the film. And essentially, I'm just reading real quick. It says, knowing that the explosions probably didn't destroy everything in the camp, McCready quickly sets to destroy the remains of the Blair Thing, Knowles, Copper, and Clark. So it's about Kurt Russell McCready going back to the camp and really destroying everything. But of course, it ain't so simple.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. I like that there's an afterthought.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's McCready is found... blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how. I gotta reread it, and I'll come back. I'll come back with my sources cited. And then also, there's the Thing video game, which it came out like 20 years after the original movie. And it does not star Kurt Russell's character. It's a whole new story. And it's about, similarly to the comic, it's about another outpost going to Outpost 31 and exploring what had happened. And of course, it's weird. It's a very good game for, its time. It came out in 2002, but the voice acting is off. The voice acting is so weird. Like in the beginning, like you hear someone call Larson, like what I'm presuming to be one of the Norwegians, and it just sounds so weird. Like it's very deep fried, like deep fried memes. The whole game is just The Thing but deep fried. Very enjoyable, very good, but it's a weird one.
Yeah,
and you can see full gameplay of that on YouTube, which I do recommend because it's weird. It's very weird but good.
Interesting. You can tell just by all the comics, the video games, the board games, how much of an impact this movie had, how much of a following it still has, really.
Oh my god, yeah. I just think it's one of those, and I'm so happy it hasn't had a lot of the ugly fate that most 80s horror movies had, where it's like, oh, we're gonna add in like 7 sequels, and guess what? When you think we're gonna be done, we're gonna put it in space. Like, remember with what was it, Voorhees in Space or something like that?
God, they don't know when to quit.
They don't know when to quit. But I'm happy they kept to this movie, left it as is. And then they did the prequel, which I'm not mad about the prequel. I think the prequel works, but obviously it's never, unless they had like Chris Nolan or, some, or even John Carpenter himself to come back in and start doing it again, then it wouldn't have been as good as the original.
Yeah. I could get behind that.
I will say, though, one of the theories that I do like from the 2011 The Thing is the fact that it cannot replicate inorganic material. So that was the one thing I was like, whoa, that is smart. Because did you ever see it? I forgot. Did you say you saw the 2011 The Thing?
No.
So there's a part in it where they realized that, because one of the guys who had like a plate in his arm from breaking his arm, when they open him up and he's, been turned and everything like that, they realized that the plate is not attached anymore. And it was almost like on its way out. Like it had like the wound and everything, like his arm like was completely ruined. And all of a sudden now the replication of it was normal. So one of the telling signs is like if people are missing jewelry, or if people with molars. So like the little, like the silver crowns and stuff like that. If you were assimilated, you would no longer have those.
Wow.
So I thought that was real. That was probably one of the best parts of the 2011 version, because it also made for a great point. Like it made it even in terms of like before, like it's like, okay, we can't redo the blood test. So how can we do that? And so the fact that they brought in the idea of like, oh, maybe it can't replicate inorganic material, like metals, things like that, was like, whoa.
That's really cool. That's actually really cool, yeah. Like fact.
Definitely recommend watching the 2011 one, especially if you love the original, because it does line up some things. And I think overall it's just a nice expansion to the original. It doesn't crap all over the original. It really is a nice expansion to it. It gives you a little bit more of a world, like if you're like me, who like just wanted more and more but didn't want the dragged out sequels and all of that crap.
Very cool. I'm definitely going to check it out.
So, rating?
9.
I'm a little disappointed. Why am I not getting a 10?
Really?
Yeah, really. You just praised it like
of course,
nothing.
it's a great film.
But like, what's holding you back? Is it fear?
Fear?
I don't know.
It's a little too real for me.
What do you mean?
This is happening in real life.
Doesn't that make it more? So it is fear. It is fear holding you back. It really is fear.
I'm trying to think, because it's not a perfect... You know what?
No. If you feel like it's a 9 out of 10, please keep a 9 out of 10. But if you're putting your money where your mouth is, please, by all means.
It's definitely not a 10 for me, but...
Okay.
Let's do 9.3.
Cool. You gave it some wiggle room. Why?
Because I was thinking, all right, why is it not a 10 for me? It's not... I think 10... For me, it has to have a big significance in my life or to the world. So that's why it's not a 10.
But you just said like, oh, it's too real because look at the world that we live in.
Yeah, but...
So, oh my God, Savanna. I mean, I understand. I'm not going to force you to give something a 10 that you don't want to give a 10.
This is really personal to Stephanie. I don't know if you guys can hear
it. It's my God-given right to defend this movie with bated breath, okay?
I gotta stand by my 9.3. That's a fantastic score. That's an A.
Yeah, but it's not like a 10 out of 10, which is what I would give it in every lifetime I live. I don't know, Savanna, maybe I just need a break. Maybe you're just stressed out. Maybe you're just going through something right now. I know you're having an issue where like one of our friends keeps just sending you frog images and you hate frogs, so maybe that mentality...
Don't say that on the internet!
Maybe that mentality is kind of crushing you.
Did I really hurt you that bad that you had to say my biggest fear on the internet?
It really? Like, really? Like, are you actually shattered right now?
I was trying to hide that because I'm afraid of someone sending it to me in a box.
Okay, no. Now you put that on yourself. Now it's out there. Because here's the thing. Now it's out there. Now I just said a little fear. Like, I don't like spiders. I don't like insects and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean my specific fear is someone putting insects, spiders, all of that in a box and bestowing it to me.
I mean, it's fine. Now because, like, if I get strange packages, I'm not going to open them. So it's fine.
Yeah. But okay.
I'm just crushed that you revealed frogs. You said it, the word.
Well, I had to defend John Carpenter.
I understand. If you didn't give Goodfellas a 10, I think I'd be like crying. So
Savanna, get ready, because when we review Goodfellas, I'm gonna say 9.6, and you're gonna lose it, and I can't wait for that to happen. But until then, Savanna, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, but...
It's a fantastic score. It's such a
I was going to say something, but I thought it was going to come across really mean. I was going to be like, on the best friend meter, you were 10, but you're now a 9.3. But don't worry, that's still a fantastic score.
Stop, I got you a thing hat.
Yeah, but you don't have the thing in your heart. And I don't know if I can deal with this right now.
Why would I have it in my heart? Why would I have it in my heart?
Wow.
Why?
Guys, I'm sorry, guys.
I gotta go. Shout out to 20 James. Years old.
Homeboy James, you're a 10 out of 10.
This movie has no, personal significance in my life. So why would I, I have it in my heart.
It's your bestest friends in the whole wide world favorite movie.
But Stephanie,
and that should count.
You also love Last Tango in Paris.
Now, hold on. We're going to get into a Last Tango in Paris review. Would you give Last Tango in Paris a higher review?
I would.
Whoa. Okay. I got to go because my mental capacity right now cannot deal with this.
Why? You love that movie too.
I do, but I wasn't expecting that from you.
You die from the... Okay, well, besides the sinful nature of it, it has a good story and a good... Well, we have to save that because we're actually going to be talking about that at some point.
I'm a little shook to my core, but it's okay. Hey, it's still a fantastic movie. Just like you're still a fantastic friend if you go to a 9.3 on the scale.
Stop.
All right. I'm just being bitter, but don't worry.
I'm never going to read anything you like again because of this reaction.
I think it's also my birthday video. It's not my birthday, but the intention of this video is to celebrate my birthday.
Yes, I love you. Happy birthday.
All over, thank you, but you just doo-dooed all over a movie that I love.
What if I gave it a 9.8? Would you still be upset?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Duh, that's kind of obvious. The only acceptable answer here is 10.
I'll give it a 10. As your best friend, but as a film reviewer, I gotta give it a 9.3.
Guys, we have some cinematic differences. We're gonna take a week off to settle these cinematic differences that we have.
Drama on Purple Noon.
Drama on Purple Noon. I will. This will be held against you for years to come.
Dude,
that's just fair.
If you made the movie, and I gave it a 9.3, I understand why you'd get upset.
But you have to, no, we're not getting into this now, sweet pea. It's almost dinner time. I don't want to eat angry.
9.3.
Shit. All right.
Great movie. Everybody go see it. Go see it. It's great.
Now you've heard my incredible review featuring Savanna's low ball score. Even though, everyone is entitled to their own opinions, but guess what? Some opinions can just be wrong.
Guys, it's a good movie. It's an A.
It's a good movie. You know what's good too? Frogs coming through the window at night. I hope you have fears about that tonight before you go to bed.
That's like sad. That's really upsetting that you're using this against me.
Well,
you didn't make the movie. It's not like you made it.
I gotta go, sweet pea.
You know those people that think this movie sucks?
Wait, what are you defending them now?
No,
are we gonna
I'm just saying.
Dude,
I appreciate the value of the thing.
First of all, I want to go to Barnes & Noble, so you're going to meet me in a Barnes & Noble parking lot, and we're going to square this up, because I want to, 1, pick up some Criterion, and 2...
I would like some, too.
I want to put you in your place, because we got to go fisticuffs on this. We got to go old school.
I will say...
Oh, what are you going to say,
it should be crowned as the best remake ever made.
Congratulations. Officially. Congratulations.
What do you
Throw
want?
it a freaking bone. Oh my god.
And I did say it's one of the scariest movies ever made. It should be looked at that. Because I think in the horror community, it's not. If you notice, it's not really on a lot of lists for the scariest
So your
movie.
whole defense is going, Stephanie, everyone else thinks this is doo-doo, but I don't. And that's okay.
This is... You know what? 9.3 is such a good score, and it's a lot better than all the stuff that's been coming out now.
All right, we just have some irreconcilable differences. We've been talking about this for 10 minutes now. You don't
respect my score.
I think it's obviously, I don't respect your score right now.
I would respect you. I would respect you.
Thanks. It's not like I expect that from you.
Yeah, but I would respect you if you gave Goodfellas an 8. Or
I'm titling this episode, "Is this the end of Purple Noon?" That's it. That's final. Is this the end of Purple Noon? And then people will just have to find out yet again, because this stings, sweet pea. This really stings.
I have to to, you know.
Yeah, you're gonna stand by your gun. You're gonna be like, oh, well, everyone thinks it's a doo-doo boo-boo, movie, but guess what? I think it's okay.
A 9.3 is okay to you?
Stephanie, why do you have to put my whole frog thing out there to the world? What are you going to tell everyone next? I don't like frogs?
Well,
I'm just being mean.
That's literally all you could do. You didn't save anything else for later.
Yep. All right. So there's only one real score to listen to, and that's fine, and that's okay if that's how this episode's going to be.
That's fine. Everyone go watch it. Everyone go watch it, and then leave. We're gonna put a poll out. We're gonna put a poll out on Twitter. What rating do you give The Thing? A 9.3 versus a 10?
Okay.
We're gonna
fine.
Put it
if you
out.
Want to go there, we'll go there. But until then, thank you, James. Probably James had listened through all of that just to hear his shout out. And you could listen to our BS doo-doo arguments too and wait for your little shout out if you subscribe to our Patreon. All the links will be down below. And next time, what
we gotta introduce Stephanie. Don't be mean to me. We gotta introduce what we're doing this next week.
Yeah, so do you want to introduce it?
The attitude is piercing my soul. So next time you hear us, we're going to be reviewing Hunger, directed by Steve McQueen.
It's Steve McQueen week. So I think by the time you might be hearing this, the Steve McQueen episode, the Hunger episode, might already be out. But that's, like I said, because of, a little snafu and whatever. But yeah, so this week is Steve McQueen week, and we're going to be talking about Hunger. And then we'll be diving into, on Sunday, 12 Years a Slave.
Ooh, some good ones.
Mm-hmm. All right. So thank you guys so much for listening. As always, thank you, James. Thank you to everyone who has listened and dealt with our on-air dirty laundry right now. And stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.